You're watching The Penny Hardaway Show, presented by Cook's Pest Control.
Home court advantage evident in the Tigers' first 2 games of the new year. Penny talks about coaching through another COVID pause. Plus, patience has paid off for Deandre Williams. A look at his story. That's all coming up tonight on The Penny Hardaway Show.
The game is on.
The Penny Hardaway Show is presented by Cook's Pest Control. You don't have to live with pests. Call Cook's Pest Control and get a free quote today. Conway Services, the official HVAC partner of Tiger Athletics. Tiger Bookstore, the official merchandiser for Tiger Athletics. AutoZone, when you've got car trouble, you want help from number one. Get in the zone, AutoZone. And is supported by your Memphis area Toyota dealers.
Home sweet home, and just like a year ago, the Tigers are on a run. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Woloshin.
And I'm Cassie Carlson. Let's take a look at the highlights from Tulsa and Cincinnati.
Tulsa has given Memphis fits in recent years. 3 straight wins over the Tigers. Jalen Duren out with the hip injury. Amani Bates out with the finger injury. That's 2 starters down, and the Tigers struggle early. 4 straight turnovers as the Golden Hurricane go on a 10-0 run from the jump. Then the U of M gets some life. Deandre Williams driving the lane puts it in off glass. Then Earl Timberlake running the point again gets a bucket down low, followed by a Tyler Harris 3 that swings momentum completely as Memphis goes on a 22-3 run in the first half to take a lead after trailing by double digits. Lester Quinones from 3 extends the Tigers' lead even more, but Tulsa brings it back to a 1-point game with 2 seconds left. However, Memphis holds off the Golden Hurricane to go on to win 67-64. Then it's time for some Sunday fun day as the Bearcats come to town. A long list of injuries going into the game, but Deandre Williams, the only one not to play with a back injury. It was a slow start for both teams, but the bench bringing the heat for Memphis as Landers Nolly, who was questionable going into the game, throws up a 3 that drops. Amani Bates' first shot back after a finger injury, also a 3, and his stroke looks nice. Penny Hardaway wants to see his team extend leads. Freshman doing just that as Amani Bates throws up the lob to Jalen Duren for the slam. Memphis goes into half with a 6-point lead. The team start trading buckets in the second. Then Josh Minot basically makes his case to be a lottery pick. The alley-oop slam, pickpockets on defense. Tyler Harris runs the floor, dish back to Minot, and Josh Minot blows the roof off the floor with that finish. Tigers down 1 with under a minute to play. Tyler Harris one-on-one shoots over the guard and gets a good bounce as Tyler Harris is our outstanding performance of the week. The walk-on with the 20-piece against Cincinnati and scoring 9 out of the Tigers' last 11 points to hold up the Bearcats as Memphis goes on to win 87-80. The Defensive Player of the Week goes to Josh Minot, getting his first 2 starts and combining for 21 rebounds, 3 steals, and a block.
Coach, you know as well as anybody, we live in a COVID world now. Last year we had the COVID stop. This year we had the COVID pause. How tough is it to come back?
It's a huge factor. When guys are off 8, 9, 10 days and come back on the floor, they don't have their rhythm, their timing is off, and then obviously they're winded very easily. And I did see the guys, the first day that they came back was maybe a day and a half before we went to Tulane, and in the first 5 minutes of the game, they were all winded. And a lot of those guys played very tired legs. Tulane had been off 3 weeks. I don't know what they had been doing conditioning-wise, but for our guys, we were definitely quarantined in their rooms, and trying to exercise in their rooms. So it plays a huge factor in coming back right away.
Is a lot of that mental, getting back in a rhythm, or is it just the repetitions of putting up shots and stuff like that?
No, it's all physical, honestly, because you're feeling it. You know how I kind of liken it to when we went to Denver to play against the Denver Nuggets, how the first 5 minutes your chest is burning, you could barely get a second win, and you need to come out of the game and your legs are really heavy. That's what the guys were feeling. It's basically a lot of it is physical.
So altitude acclimation is really kind of like what it's like, but you don't get that with COVID. How long do you think it takes to really recover physically?
I think it took the team maybe 4 days to kind of get their legs back and get their wind back. I think about 4 days of just, we started them off really slowly, not a lot of running, just some maybe a couple sessions of where we just got up and down slowly to try to get them, going, because the trainer didn't want anybody to pull a hamstring, strain anything, or, pull anything, just because they had been off for so long. So you kind of build them up, and probably about the fourth day, things was going the way we wanted it to go.
How have you had to adjust just how you operated since you did go on that initial pause?
Well, you gotta, get with the staff, and you get with the video guy. You start sending them film of what we were doing when we were playing really well. Start showing them film of the other teams that we could possibly play, because we didn't know if the next games were going to be canceled. We didn't know if Tulane's game was going to be canceled and Wichita's game was going to be canceled. So we were just showing film of the next 3 games, also the Alabama game, on how we were playing, what we were doing, just to kind of keep their minds on what we were doing, and giving them the plays all over again. Because sometimes being off 10 days, put some new wrinkles in certain areas, you have to show them that as well.
All I can say is save that film, because it sure worked against Wichita State. But seriously, how much do you guys talk about COVID, about the education, about the shots and the boosters?
Yeah, the education about that has been from day one. I think that, initially the guys were like, well, we're gonna go. And it's not a lot of guys, but the guys that weren't vaccinated were saying that they were gonna go and get their first shot, or get the Johnson & Johnson shot and be totally vaccinated or whatever. And it's like, as the season got closer, they just kind of kept putting it off. And I have a friend that has a saying that there's never a problem until there's a problem. Then the problem hit right before Tennessee, and then the guys, they went right into action. We had another meeting talking about it, and our doctors got on a Zoom call with the parents and all of the players and all the coaches, and just started giving the numbers on being vaccinated versus unvaccinated, and the guys stepped up and did what they had to do.
This also brought up the AAC changing the no contest, the forfeit rules. Do you like what they decided to do?
Yeah, I think it's kind of unfair, because in our country, you get COVID, that's not your fault. You're trying to wear masks, you're trying to stay away from people, not be out and about, washing your hands and using all of the necessary things that you have to do not to get it. And if you get it, and then it's like you can have, and the thing that's unfair about it is one guy could be positive and the rest of the team can be negative, but if you're unvaccinated, you have to sit out as well. So I don't think that deserves a forfeit.
No, I think it's a perfect rule, and that's what the NCAA was doing. So the league obviously went along with that. How about just your whole attitude and the way you have to coach now, knowing that this could happen at any time? I mean, it's changed, I guess, the way you have to look at the whole year.
Well, I mean, you go into the Tulane game. If we're at full staff, we beat Tulane. No disrespect to Tulane, full staff, we beat them. And you lose 3 of your best players, and they don't get to go, but the rest of the team has to go. I've been witnessing that in the NFL, and it looks really weird not having a starting quarterback go because of being in safety protocol and then having the backup, and it just doesn't look right. So to me, it definitely hurts your team a lot. And the way you coach is that I've always coached everyone play different positions, multiple positions, and understand everything that's going on. So when we lose guys, we can plug guys in those spots, but they're still not the main guys.
You did lose the quad 1 opportunity with Tennessee, and you've mentioned that you want to try and find another game to replace that. Is there any progress on that, and do you think there's room?
There is room. We have a couple opportunities, one this month and one in February, where we could get a quad 1 game. It just has to be willing takers. The way that we're playing now, a lot of teams aren't going to want to give us that game, but I'm hoping someone pops up and says, hey, we want to play you. I remember last year, during our pause, Georgia Tech wanted to play us. Josh gave me a call, but we had already had a game coming up. He didn't know we had a game coming up, but that would have been awesome. So hopefully we can get something similar this year.
Penny Hardaway describes Deandre Williams as the leader of this team, but it hasn't been an easy road to get to Memphis. His story is coming up next.
You're watching the Penny Hardaway Show, presented by Cook's Pest Control.
Patience is a virtue and something very few of us have, but for Deandre Williams, it's what's gotten him to where he is today.
Inside Access is presented by Memphis Toyota Dealers.
Keep it hot. Oh my goodness. Williams. Maybe the dagger.
Energy is the word that comes to mind when you think of Deandre Williams.
I just like having fun, and in life, I don't like being mad or frustrated all the time. So I try to bring the laughter, in the locker room or on the court, and just a positive vibe. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's contagious. It helps.
No one player has helped the Tigers excel on the floor than Williams. Memphis won all but 5 of the games he played in his first season.
Why do you think you've been such an impact? Because it's not just here, it happened at Evansville too when you got the chance to get on the floor.
Just my story, what I bring, everything I've been through, my experience. I think it's just kind of, just contagious overall. And me being through that, I can, tell the younger guys, what I've been through and, how to never quit and just, keep your head up and anything positive can happen if you, stay positive.
Behind his back, nearly turns it over and forces Deandre Williams to throw up a prayer that gets answered.
Much like his entire playing career, his path to helping the Tigers wasn't easy. Williams had to sit out the first 8 games of the season while he waited for a transfer waiver from Evansville. It wasn't until the NCAA passed the immediate eligibility waiver he was able to play.
He had zero patience. He was really hurt because he felt like Evansville could have just helped him out and just signed a piece of paper and said that you were eligible. But he's been through so much, that was just something that was added on that he needed to be strong about. And I was just constantly in his ear just trying to, tell him that he got to a point where he felt like it wasn't gonna happen. And he was almost like giving in and giving up. And I was like, Deandre, you've been through too much for you to give up now. And then when it happened, you saw that Tulane game. He came out like on fire, that Tulane game.
It wasn't the first time Williams had to wait his turn to see the floor. His senior year of high school, he decided to leave public school for homeschool, take online classes to improve his grades, and play in a homeschool basketball league. After the year, he was out of basketball completely. His credits didn't transfer.
I was kind of like misguided, unfortunately, and I was taking some courses that wasn't certified, NCAA certified, so I found out like late, and it pushed me back, and that was like the main thing. And so, at that moment, it was kind of like devastating because I've been working so hard to get to college and things like that, and I just got put in that situation. And so it was unfortunate at the time, but I just, kept God first and just stayed down, and it was like, I'm gonna keep going because I want to play and, I want to eventually, get my degree and everything like that. So I stayed positive and kept going.
After a year of night classes and working a job, Williams went to a prep school before enrolling at Evansville, where he was declared academically ineligible his freshman year. Just another time, he'd have to wait his turn.
And for him to fight through that and be here now, that's the reason why he's the age that he is right now, still being in college, because he's had to fight through so much adversity just to get to this point. That's why he plays with so much emotion and energy.
The number of times you've had to be patient. When you first got to Evansville, when you first came here, do you ever think of, patience is so hard, but how it's paid off for you?
Going through it, I thought it was impossible, at the time. But like I said, I just kept praying and, everything that, came to me, I kind of just like, okay, whatever, I'm gonna just, keep going. I always had that mentality since I was little, and it got me all the way here. And like I said, I just thank God, and it's a blessing to be here.
Penny Hardaway describes Williams as the leader of this Memphis team, not just because of his energy and skill, but because of his experience.
Any teammate that has been asked about you has said, once you hear his story, you instantly respect him.
Coach always reiterated every time that, to everybody, like, you can't just, talk down, talk trash to nobody that's really, you don't know their story. And you got to actually know somebody's story to, be able to talk to them. And that's what we was starting to figure out. Like, that's why we got closer as a team, because we started learning each other's story, and that's why we respected each other more.
Williams' background fuels the passion you see on the floor.
Basketball just, it gives me a free mind, and it actually makes me happy because, I just love the game. Like, you don't have to even pay me for it, do nothing. Like, I just go in the gym and just play basketball because I love it. And so, being out there just give me a free mind, and, I laugh, I'm very positive, I got a lot of energy, and, it's contagious, throughout the whole building, so I try to keep that same.
Coach, when Deandre Williams plays, you win. He's 23-9 when he's on the floor.
He is a matchup problem at any position, whether he plays the 2, 3, 4, or 5. He understands how to play, he understands how to win, and his energy is contagious. That's why we win when he's on the floor.
Yeah, his personality, you know more about it than anyone else. How would you describe him?
Loud. I would describe him as loud. No matter what, if we're on the bus, you're gonna hear Deandre. If we're in practice, you're gonna hear Deandre. If we're in a restaurant, you're gonna hear Deandre. Wherever we are, you're gonna hear Deandre.
After that team meeting, he basically said to us, I'm the leader of this team. Is he your leader?
Yes, he is. He's the leader because he holds himself accountable first, and then he brings everybody up to the level that he's playing on. So to be a leader, you have to show by example. You have to do everything properly off the court and on the court, and then everyone else will follow, and that's what he does.
He was the experience that you needed last year. How has he, coming into this program, changed how you view coaching?
Yeah, I mean, he's a serious player. He's a serious guy. He knows what he wants. And I think that's changed my coaching because I don't have to do as much with the players because he kind of polices that area. And when you have that, then you can go to sleep at night knowing that you have a guy like Deandre that's making sure everybody's just staying on the straight and narrow. And that has changed the way I coach because I've always had players like that when I was in high school. At East High School, I had leaders that did that, was fighting to find those guys on this team until Deandre came, and Deandre has definitely helped out in a lot in that area.
He is an older guy. Did you have to sweet talk him to come back for this extra year?
You know, he was really thinking about it. You know, he didn't have the season that he wanted because he had to sit out the first 7 games. So he felt like he got cheated out of those 7 games because I felt like he should have been eligible right away. So he wanted to come back and prove that he could be the player that he knew he could be. And then he gets COVID and misses a game. He can't afford to miss any games. He wants to be at every game, and he wants to win, and he wants to get to an NCAA tournament. So it's definitely a blessing to have him.
What do you think the future could be for a player like Deandre?
Deandre's future could be in the NBA. He's gonna have to go to hard road because I don't know if he gets drafted, but he definitely would go into a camp and make a team because of his energy, his toughness, his willingness to do whatever it takes to get the job done.
The Tigers have their second conference road trip next week. Penny previews Central Florida and East Carolina right after this.
You're watching the Penny Hardaway Show, presented by Cook's Pest Control. Let's take a look at the AutoZone road ahead.
On the road again, and it starts in Orlando against a UCF team that beat Michigan already.
Yeah, full team is back, and then they've added a couple of pieces. They are a team that's on a mission because they've been getting beat up a little bit in the conference, and they've been together enough now to understand what's going on, and they're playing with passion. They're playing like they have a checklist of teams that they really want to beat, and I know we're one of them for sure because they came here last year and played us back-to-back games because we had the COVID game at UCF. Well, they got COVID and we couldn't play the game, so you had to make it up here, and they played us back-to-back, and I know they want revenge coming there this year.
Then you have ECU, who has also gone in the transfer portal to get a key piece.
Yeah, they got Boston College's best player, who's a really good player, and we know that Coach Dooley always is on the prowl to beat Memphis. He's just continued to build that program back up the way he had it before he left the first time, and you know they're always going to compete at home.
That was tonight's AutoZone Road Ahead. AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination and official sponsor of Tiger Athletics. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
So 2 trips, one to Orlando and one to Greenville. Quite a difference. We'll put a wrap on this show in just a minute.
You're watching the Penny Hardaway Show, presented by Cook's Pest Control.
Thanks so much for joining us this late Sunday night. We'll do it again next Sunday night. Have a great week, everybody.
The Penny Hardaway Show is presented by Cook's Pest Control. You don't have to live with pests. Call Cook's Pest Control and get a free quote today. Conway Services, the official HVAC partner of Tiger Athletics. Tiger Bookstore, the official merchandiser for Tiger Athletics. AutoZone, when you've got car trouble, you want help from #1. Get in the zone, AutoZone. And is supported by your Memphis area Toyota dealers. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation of the University of Memphis Sports Network. This copyrighted telecast is an exclusive presentation of Learfield under the broadcasting rights granted by the University of Memphis. Reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the expressed written consent of the University of Memphis and Learfield.